Hey, what is going on, guys? So if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you might be thinking, hey Ryan, didn't you already do a video on the New Mutants Omnibus? And yes, you are correct, I did. But one, I do videos in a more professional and organized way now, so I wanted to read you the video. Two, this omnibus is getting a reprint like next week, I think, so I want to encourage people to get it and new people who haven't heard me talk about it before. Three, I love talking about the New Mutants, and I will take any opportunity I can to talk more about the New Mutants because I love them and I love this omnibus. And four, if I don't do that, my head explodes. So without further ado, let's take a look at the New Mutants Omnibus and talk about how great it is.
Okay, first thing is first, we take a look at the spine. It's a white spine. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but it does get some extra points for having the cool team image there on the side. And then we've got this nice cover here, which is actually not their first appearance. It's from New Mutants issue number 1. It's the cover of that. Their first appearance is actually in Marvel graphic novel number 4. Then we've got the back of the book, Meet the New Class at Xavier School. That tagline actually sounds a little bit off, but hey, whatever. As you can see on the back here, we see everything that is collected in this omnibus. Alright, now with great pleasure, let's actually get into this book. So what does it collect? Well, it collects Marvel graphic novel number 4, which is the first appearance of most of them. Collects New Mutants number 1 through 34, New Mutants Annual number 1, Marvel Team Up number 100, which maybe that's the one with Karma. One of the team ups in here or something has Karma's first appearance. We get issue 149 of that as well. We get Marvel Team Up Annual number 6. We get Uncanny X-Men 160, 167, 180, 189, 192, and then we get the Magic miniseries 1 through 4, which is one of my favorite comic books of all time. So this video is probably going to be pretty lengthy as I talk about the New Mutants and why I like them so much and why they resonate with me so much. I think it is one of the 2 greatest X-Men spin-off books. I think it's only competition really for that, and maybe there's something I'm not thinking of, but I think the only competition that I can think of is Excalibur. But this book and that book are drastically different, and they're great in their own individual unique ways. So for those unfamiliar, you're probably saying, hey, who are the New Mutants? You know, what are they? What is this group? And you probably know who the X-Men are. Well, this is Charles Xavier's new class of mutants, and pretty much this is more of a youth-based mutant book, but don't let that trick you because this book is not really, I mean, I guess it is for younger people and teenagers in a sense, but it deals with really, really dark themes, and it just gets thematically darker and darker as the series progresses, and has some of the best horror in Marvel X-Men comics that I've read so far. So the team starts off with Karma, who can basically control people, Wolfsbane, who's Rain Sinclair. She can turn into a wolf, half girl, however she wants to do it. Then we have Sunspot, who sort of has these like energy powers that, you know, he's charged from the sun. And then we have Cannonball, who is sort of like his name sounds. He is a flying cannonball type character. He's invulnerable when he's flying and he's got his blast going on. And then we have Moonstar, who has the ability to sort of project your dreams or nightmares into a reality or vision, if you will. And then later on, we also get new members of the team. We get Magic, who I think everyone is very familiar with. We get Magma, who is lava-based powers, pretty much, and we get Warlock, who I think people are also familiar with, but if not, he's sort of like this techno-mutant dude. I don't really know how to explain his powers. They're a little more difficult to articulate. He's almost like a techno-organic shapeshifter, I guess. Oh, and we get Cypher later on. I forgot about him. And Cypher's mutant ability is to understand any language. Now, I've flipped through some things fairly quickly here, but the very first issue of this might throw you off, that's collected in this omnibus, I mean, because it's like this weird Spider-Man team-up book that we were talking about, but that is just to introduce Karma. And then after that, we get this X-Men book, which is sort of about Belasco and the X-Men going to Limbo and Magic, and it's like, why are we getting this already? But it's just kind of like a prologue. It's setting up Magic's introduction later in the New Mutants. And then what we're looking at right now is the actual Marvel graphic novel number 4 that introduces the characters like Sunspot, Rain Sinclair, Cannonball, and Moonstar. And I'm actually doing a video series on this right now. It's probably going to take me a long time to finish all of them. I only have one of them out right now, which is about Rain Sinclair, but I'm doing this video series on the ideological evolution of the New Mutants. Because, and it's exemplified really well in this first Marvel graphic novel number 4 that introduces them, they're all starting at like completely different ideological positions and places in their life, and as the series progresses, they all grow in a really, really satisfying way. So the video, for example, that I did on Rain Sinclair is, she has this like devoutly religious background, and there's a lot of self-hate that is involved with it, because, you know, her religious congregation was very toxic in nature, they were sort of abusive to her, and, you know, when the story starts, they're hunting her down to kill her. And, I could talk about the evolution of each of these characters for a long video, and that's why I'm doing a series on it. So if you want more about her specifically, you can, go watch that video, and I'm going to make more of those for each of the characters in this original New Mutants run, so if you're excited about that prospect, then, please subscribe, and you'll be notified when they come out. Something else about this book that I think is really special, and Chris Claremont captured really well in here, is that sometimes when we're reading these books, I think it's easy to forget that mutants kind of have it tough in this world. I mean, they're hated people, and they're always dealing with these crazy problems, really, right? And a lot of times we're like, hey, wouldn't it be awesome to be a mutant? Like, wouldn't it be cool to be one of these mutants? But not really. I mean, like I said, they're dealing with problems all the time. They're really hated by the rest of society. I mean, they're a marginalized community in this world. And this book does a good job of illustrating the stress and anguish that comes with all of that. And, they're in a really formative stage of their lives, so it's hard to deal with that, and it's very relatable seeing them sort of try to grow through that, because, we've all had struggles that we've had to push through. It doesn't matter where you are and what you had to deal with. I mean, we all had different struggles, but we all had struggles, right? So it's hard not to, at some point in this book, see it as a reflection of your own reality. That's at least how I felt, so I appreciated Claremont not lowering the stakes because these are kids or teenagers or whatever, because the stakes were really high. They were damn high. And I mean, really, just the idea of X-Men, mutants, and otherness, it's so easy. It's a great idea to use young people as a framework to capture the essence of that. Oh, then here's a little another team-up book that we get in here that is Spider-Man, Cloak and Dagger, and our New Mutants. I'm guessing there was a possibility that they wanted to use Spider-Man, like they always did back then, to try to sell things or, try to get people to be interested in the New Mutants. Like put Spider-Man in a book with the New Mutants, and hey, people will buy the New Mutants. I don't know how popular it was at the time. I'm sure a lot of people realize retroactively that it's a really amazing run. Although, they probably realized at the time too, right? I mean, Chris Claremont was never not a big name when it came to writing mutants, was he? I don't know. But all that aside, this issue is, for example, one of those issues that sort of exemplifies the serious nature of things that the New Mutants were dealing with, because maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure this issue deals with drugs and drug running or something like that. And I mean the team-up issue we're looking at, not this issue right now with the motorcycle dudes, in which Sunspot is disillusioned of his heroes being cool guys. I think Sunspot might be the next character I do an ideological evolution video on, either him or Cannonball, but I like Sunspot a lot because he sort of has this interesting relationship with wealth and, family and all of that there's a lot to dive into there. And he's kind of this arrogant character, very confident, very, set in his ways, so it's nice to see that sort of break down a little bit. Or I might do it on Amara, actually, Magma, who is introduced in this issue, because she's a cool character, despite, she's introduced in a very controversial way, where she's sort of donning blackface to try to blend in with the natives of the area that they're in. So, it's a little sketchy. I don't know, Amara. A little sus there. But there's some interesting stuff there because she is, really culturally set back and, living in a different time period, really. Because just in the middle of, the rainforest, or I forget, exactly where they are. But there's Nova Roma, which is just the city of Rome, pretty much, just existing on its own. Culturally, it's so random, but it's really fun for the characters to just get thrown into that setting. And then, we get Amara there, and then someone else who is there is the Black Priestess, who is Selene, who later on becomes the Black Queen. But it's so fun that we get to see our New Mutants have to go against Selene. And I think after this is the point where Selene realizes, I think the New Mutants kind of screw over everyone else, and really Rachel Summers later on, because Selene realizes hey, oh, wait, I'm a mutant. There's more mutants like me out there. I'm a vampiric goddess of a mutant. I'm gonna venture outwards and she goes to New York. She's like, I'm going to New York. She ventures outward to New York and then basically just causes chaos for the rest of X-Men history. And that's all because the New Mutants they cracked the glass of her being in Nova Roma. So as you can tell, there's a lot of iconic first appearance, notable stuff in this book, and it's gonna just get more and more iconic as the run continues. Right now, we are flipping through one of my favorite comic book series of all time, the Storm and Ileana Magic miniseries. It is so metal, it is so well written, it is so poignant, it deals with so much trauma, the loss of innocence, all that. I did a comic book analysis video on this one too, if you want to hear my thoughts in depth a little bit on this one, but really it is so good and I recommend it as a must read for any Magic fan, but really, I'll say it's a must-read for any X-Men fan because it just does everything that's great about the X-Men so well. I mean, this is everyone at the top of their game. The writing is immaculate, the artwork is immaculate, everything is so good. Please read this story. And as cool as it is, it's really sad and tragic too because, like I said, it's really about the corruption of youth, the loss of innocence, and there's some subtext there for a metaphor to extrapolate about sexual trauma and all of that, and grooming and all of that, which is something that we actually see fairly often when it comes to some of the younger X-Men characters, the idea of grooming. I also did a video on the Firestar miniseries from the Hellions, where, it's sort of parallel to this story because Emma Frost, grooms Firestar in a way as well, but, that is another book that is not in here at all. But it's kind of relevant because it's adjacent. But, I'm getting off topic. Please read the Magic miniseries, guys. It is so good. There's so much good stuff in it. But I think I got a little too excited and didn't even tell you what the Magic miniseries is about. But pretty much, it's, in one of those prologue books we were talking about that start this omnibus, Ileana gets sucked into limbo, and then she comes out and she's a teenager now when she was really just 7 before. So this is about her formative years in limbo and how she was trained to become a sorceress, a dark sorceress, and how she sort of had to fight the literal and inner demons of herself, and how her mutant power manifests itself. And it's sort of leading us into her joining the New Mutants team, which is coming up here. And the way they actually lead into Magic sort of joining the New Mutants is that Kitty gets kidnapped by the White Queen, which I guess is kind of just a thing that Emma Frost keeps on trying to do during these X-Men years. She keeps trying to kidnap people, but Kitty gets kidnapped, and Magic has to help the New Mutants save her. And Magic does that because, she is, if you don't know, she is best friends with Kitty Pryde. They have a really strong relationship. They always did, before and after Magic's limbo occurrence. So these issues are really fun for me because, 1, I'm a big Emma Frost fan. 2, I'm a huge Hellions fan as well. And if you don't know what that team is, basically, Emma Frost has her Massachusetts Academy, which is sort of like the foil, the parallel to Charles Xavier's Academy. And the Hellions are sort of the Massachusetts Academy's version of the New Mutants. So it's really fun to see the dynamics of those two groups sort of go against each other and see sort of the contrasting nature of each of the groups. And they do have really, really fun interactions aside from the fighting. I mean, Cat's Eye has this really nice moment that I've always loved with Rain Sinclair, where after everything is said and done, Rain is in her wolf form and Cat's Eye's in her cat form, and Rain's like, "Hey, don't you want to come back with us? Didn't you know the White Queen is evil?" And Cat's Eye's like, "Nah, Cat's Eye stay. Cat's Eye's in the happy place." I don't know why that always sticks with me. I love it so much. It's so funny, but it's also really endearing and heartwarming. I like the character of Cat's Eye a lot. I want them to do a lot more with her. Hey, if there's a Marvel editor or someone with power watching this video right now and you somehow got this far in it also, can I please write a Cat's Eye miniseries? Just give it to me. Promise I'll do something good with it. But if not, it's Cat's Eye, right? She doesn't have that many fans, but she has me. I'm her big fan. I'm a big Cat's Eye fan. Alright, as I'm freaking out about Cat's Eye, I'm sort of skipping over some really important stuff, which is where a lot of the true horror comes into this omnibus, and some of my favorite storylines start here because Bill Sikowitz, I actually don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he takes over the artwork for this book, and it is so phenomenal. It looks so strange in a way, but it really, really works for the book, and there is this tonal shift that I think Claremont sort of moves along with the artwork, and it's so perfect. They blend so well together. But we get this Demon Bear storyline, which is really special, and I want you to experience it for yourself. If you've seen the New Mutants movie, just know that they didn't even dip their toes into what the story should actually be like. It is actually horrifying here. There's actually suspense here. And I don't even hate the New Mutants movie. Although I thought, it really didn't live up to its potential. I still thought it was fun to see those characters on screen. So, it is what it is. But that's another story. Read the Demon Bear saga. It is so good. And also, I'm probably going to do an analysis video on it at some point if you want my deeper thoughts on it. But also, we get the introduction of Warlock here, too. So this is when he starts joining the team. And then we get this awesome annual. It's like I said, guys, there is so much iconic stuff in here. And this annual, I'm pretty sure, is the first appearance of Lila Chaney, who dates Cannonball for a little bit, which is really funny. But she's basically this, rock star who has teleportation powers because she's a mutant, but she is sort of, intergalactic teleportation powers, so she's actually really, really powerful. She's kind of like Gateway, but I don't know if Gateway's powers limit him to Earth or what the capacity for that is. But she can basically teleport anywhere. And for you X Factor fans and you Guido fans, he's also in this. And I think this is probably his first appearance too. I may be wrong about that one. He may appear somewhere else. But you know, if you're trying to catch all the Guido appearances you can, all the strong guy appearances you can, then you gotta check this annual out. Man, this book is like fun issue after fun issue, and they're all still really impactful as well. But this issue that we're taking a look at right now, this X-Men issue, is awesome because basically it's Amara and it's Rachel Summers, and they're doing sort of like this girls' trip in New York. And, you know, through a series of unfortunate events or circumstances, really, whatever you want to call it, they end up having to go into sort of espionage mode as maids in the Hellfire Club. And, you know, Selene is there, and she sort of catches them, and mayhem ensues. And like I've talked about before, I really like when, like, X-Men and the younger X-Men have to go against Selene, because Selene is so powerful. It's like, oh, you're a 14-year-old kid whose mutant powers just manifested themselves? I'm a 17,000-year-old vampire goddess, and I will suck the life energy from your soul. I mean, sorry, I'm getting a little carried away here, but, I mean, doesn't that sound pretty exciting? Can you guys tell that I'm passionate about New Mutants, and that I really like all the storylines and everything that's introduced in New Mutants? I feel like I can't play it cool, guys. I just really, really love the New Mutants. And look at that. I mean, look at that. It's like you turn a page and you're at another iconic storyline. This story that we're looking at right now is the first appearance of Legion, who is Charles Xavier's son, who has, I think it's like multiple personality disorder, or maybe there's a different categorization that they use in the storylines. But basically, he's a really, really powerful mutant who's kind of mentally unstable, and, you know, that can be a problem. And by the way, Legion, I didn't like him at first when, like, he's first introduced, really. But I've learned to love the character so much, and I really, really like him in the current modern X-Men run. I loved Way of X, and I loved the Onslaught Revelation with him. So, you know, random reading recommendation for Legion in modern continuity in the middle of this video. But you know what? If you're at this point in the video, it's fine. You know, everything is going crazy. I'm just spouting off nonsense about how much I love the New Mutants. We're just talking, chatting, whatever. And just like that, dear friends, it is over, and we're at the end of the book, and there's no more New Mutants for me to talk about. But New Mutants is getting a Volume 2. So buy this Volume 1, and then buy Volume 2, because I want a Volume 3, and I want them to print more New Mutant stuff. I want them to print some modern New Mutant stuff. Not like modern current run, although that's really good too. You should check that out. Guys, thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you all very, very much.